We have the trucking company, but we lease trailers. And I'm going to tell you something about this, and it's something you want to pay attention to because it can happen to you. Now, when we lease a trailer to somebody and they're out there in the world running around with a trailer, if something happens to it, there's not a lot that can happen to a trailer, but sometimes things do. Brakes, wheel bearings, tires, whatever. So we always tell them, and in fact it's in the lease, that if something happens, they have to actually contact us first. Say, hey, the brake's not working or the light's out or whatever it might be. And then we can make a decision as to what to do. You can take it to some place, if it's close by, maybe we send a guy, whatever. But in this case, with this one particular trailer, the guy took it just by himself. He took it to this one place, to his trailer place, because he said the brakes weren't working. And this trailer he has disc brakes. It has a electric over hydraulic disc brakes on the back, and it has the 4-piston calipers on each caliper. So that's 16 pistons that are back there. Anyway, so he takes it to this place and tells them, he says, my brakes weren't working, and he told him to go ahead and take a look at it, which means now he's got money, because he's got money tied up into the trailer because they're going to charge him to look at it, which I don't imagine they probably want to charge him. They're due to charge him as long as they tell him up front that they're going to charge him to look at it, then they can. So he takes it in. They start looking at it, tell him he's an actuator. It's like $1,000-something. Now, all this time, I'm unaware of it. And so he hasn't told anybody on the other end of where he's leasing the trailer from. They told him, I guess it was like $1,000-something plus labor and however much it was. And he told him to go ahead and do it. So they went ahead and put that on there. Didn't solve the problem. Now, these people didn't know what the heck they were doing, but didn't solve the problem. So then they tell him they wanted 4 new calipers. That means that they're telling him that 16 pistons failed. Not single piston caliper, not double. A 4-piston caliper, all 4 of those failed. They want to put $2,000 some odd worth of calipers on this trailer. So then he panics and calls me. By this time, right? I mean, they're already downrange with this trailer. So I asked the guy at the trailer place, I said, if we spend this money, are they going to be fixed? And he said, well, that's like the next step, so-and-so. So I called the place we bought the trailer from. Great place, by the way. It's called Hot Rod Trailers. They're in Ohio, and this was a Take 3 trailer. They handle Take 3. So I talked to him, and I tell him, he's like, there's no way. One caliper maybe, but the reason they have so many calipers, so many pistons, is so that if one hung up, that there's just 3 more still going to work, or if 2 hung up, there's still 2 more, so forth and so on, all the way to 16 of them. He said the odds of 16 pistons going bad on there are pretty much 0. So he tells me, he says, here's what I want you to do. He said, have them check this, have them jack it up, put it on jack stands, blah, blah, blah. So I called the guy back, and I'm going over that with him. It sounds German to the guy, right? He doesn't know from Adam. And I just got this feeling that they didn't know what they were going on. So now remember, I don't know how much money's been spent into this thing at all till this point. I didn't even know where the trailer was or that it was broken down or anything until right before this is happening. So the guy tells me, I made a determination, we'll just go pick it up and we'll take it to our trailer guy here in Jacksonville where we're at. Because this guy, again, he was just throwing a bunch of parts at it. First he said the actuator was wrong with it. He just put that on it, didn't take care of it, so forth and so on. So I told him, I said, stop working on it. I'm going to come up there and pick it up. How much do we owe you? Expecting to hear a couple $100 or so. Again, because I didn't know about the first part that he had done. And he tells me it's like $2,200. I'm like, holy crap. So I got to talk to the guy and, negotiating with him because he didn't have a signed intake form. And in Georgia where he's at, you got to have a signed intake form, just like Florida, or pretty much you're out of gas. And I didn't want to tear the guy up because the guy who leased the trailer actually told me to go ahead and put the other part in. So we came to a deal on it, at to pay for the thing. And so I went up there and picked it up, and I picked it up, drove it away from there. No brakes, right? The brakes weren't working, but there was no load on it. So picked it up from there, drive away, get down the road a bit, and I thought, you know what? Just for the heck of it, let me look at something here. There was a wire that was off of the battery, because it has a 12-volt battery on this thing that actually helps to run the brakes on the trailer. There was a wire that goes to this thing that where the truck talks to the battery or talks to this module or whatever that runs that, you know, the electric over the hydraulic part or whatever, that wire wasn't hooked to the battery. I hooked the wire to the battery, had brakes. I mean, I'm like, I just fixed this trailer. But think, if we'd have followed the advice of the trailer place, right? If we'd have followed their advice and spent the $2,200 for those brake calipers, they still wouldn't have had brakes, and they'd have wanted to throw more at it. But I'd have been out $2,200 more on top of the $2,000 he wanted for the repairs that he'd already done. So that'd have been like over $4,000 something and still climbing, because they wouldn't have found that wire. Maybe they did find the wire, who knows? The problem was that the wire was what was wrong with it and not the calipers. And so that guy was going to sell me down the river. That's why when you take your vehicle in or you take your trailer in to have work done on it, what you got to do is understand they may not know exactly what they're talking about. Be cautious. Make sure that you sign an intake form that limits the amount of diagnostic charge. It should have on there, and most states this is legally what they have to do. It should have on there an amount of money that says you approve up to, you know, $50, $100, $500, whatever it is. That'll limit the amount of money. And then if they call you up and they want something else to do, they'll say, if they tell you it needs X, Y, Z, say, okay, you're assuring me that that's going to fix it. Can I get that in writing? And have them give you in writing that's going to fix it. Because if it doesn't fix it, then you have grounds to say, okay, that didn't fix it, so I'm not paying you for that part of it. You can take it off or do whatever you got to do, but you told me that was going to fix it and it didn't fix it. So the moral of the story is, if you take your truck in or you take your trailer in, make sure you sign an intake form that limits the amount of money they can charge you for diagnostic. Also, it should have on there if you get into any storage things, but the diagnostic's the main thing. It'll limit that. And then if they tell you that there's something wrong with it, ask them if that's going to fix it, or are you just throwing parts at it, or do you need further than that? Is this like a first step or something? So you need to go know what you're getting into, because then you might want to take it somewhere else and pay them that $100 diagnostic or whatever the fee is that they want for the diagnostic. Anyway, just a cautionary measure. Thanks for watching.